Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into my tarot channel. I have a reading that is a little more like of a dark energy. I was like tripping on some, I mean not literally tripping, but just like there was some like funny energy last night if you want to tune in about like a love relationship that people made each other laugh. So I was like laughing a lot, but this is a different energy and it has to do with you individuating. The first thing is, I think there was a friend that you knew for a long time, maybe like decades, who, see, this can be about working towards a goal, not just financial. You can read it as maybe you and this person were in a situation together where you worked side by side, or maybe you both had similar goals, but it was a long-term friendship. And then you turned away from this friendship because at a certain point it was very damaging. It was very isolating. And this person that you were dealing with, that you were friends with, I don't think you fully saw who they were because you like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And you are someone who says you think you can make things happen, which can lend itself to thinking you can change people. So I want to read the Magician here. I think you thought like you may have seen in the early stages of this friendship some inklings of some negative stuff, and you were like, I can just look past that. Okay, I think this person, I'm just hearing the word came for you. This person came for you. I don't know how. I think that they threatened you at some point, and I think they took some liberties with some things. You know, they may have like taken some favors and not, you know, played it the way they were supposed to. I'm just hearing the word user. This person, you felt used by them, and they gladly take what they want, and you definitely are like done with this person. There's been a long period of like F this person for like many years, I would say. And it's the best thing because you were able to see that it's not just, it's like mistreatment for years. And there's a reverse of this, which I'm going to do at the end. I'm going to do another reading, which is the other side of this reading. So it would be the friend who is like acting like an a-hole from their perspective. Well, maybe we'll put that in here. You weren't listening to your intuition, but it's not just this friend. I think this friend is symbolic of how she's like, she or he is sort of like a prototype or just like stand-in for how people treat you. I think this, but this was like an exacerbated version of it. Like, okay, I'm sensing that this person was incredibly threatened by you from day one. You are massively intelligent, and I think this person also doesn't have very many, like they don't have a wide range of feeling, because the swords can be about thoughts, not feelings. Maybe they're an air sign. To find inner fulfillment and peace, you had to just like cut them off. I'm still not really getting what happened here with them. What, Spirit, tell us what went on. What kinds of things did this person do? Spirit, how did this person see you? Okay, so all I'm feeling is like feelings of jealousy. This is a card about defeat after battle. I think you actually did kind of like have the last word, whatever this was. I think they tried some stuff and, you know, tried to mess with you maybe or threaten you, and you were like, how about no? I'm getting, have you ever seen Fargo? There's the one with John Hamm. I love that season. And Temple, I forget her last name. I don't know. She's a great actress. The woman who's in that, and her name is Dot, and she has this whole secret life, and she's like, I love the scene where Jennifer Jason Leigh, her stepmother, like is kind of threatening her a little bit subtly because she knows about her other life, and she like comes up really close to her and is like, listen bitch, like I worked hard for this life and you're not gonna fuck with me, basically. And the Jennifer Jason Leigh is like shocked, because usually she's like, oh, hi. And then when the husband comes back to the table, she's like, did you need any more butter? You know, like she acts like they didn't have that like intimidating conversation. I'm sensing something like that. Like maybe you didn't come up close to this person and say, hey, don't fuck with me. But maybe you found a way to make them look stupid and foolish. And maybe you spoke to someone in authority, or someone who was speaking for them, and we're like, you know what, I'm not gonna put up with this. Like, no. This person wanted you to not have independence. They have a big thing. They're very competitive. They wanted you to be like down on your ass, down on your, you know, like no resources. And also money's very important to them. And I think maybe you came from more like money than them in some way, maybe even slightly, and they resent you for that, and see that they don't think that you're independent. They think that maybe you're like just, I don't know, trophy wife, or I don't know. They have judgment about you, about how you get your money somehow. And they also have judgment about like who you are. I think you've had a lot of trauma in your life, and you've actually dealt with it in an amazing way by, instead of like letting it guide your life in a negative way, you've let this comes after the Tower, the Star. I just intuitively chose that. You've opened to spirituality, and this person does not like that. They think that makes you feel holier than thou, and like, oh, what could you know that they don't? This person's very, very judgmental, very closed off, and it's not just with you, it's with a lot of people, but they chose you as a target, I think because you got close at one point. And also they wanted you to see what a hotshot they are in their lives, and that was part of the interaction, to have, maybe they had someone speak for them and be like, well, you know what, they're like a big deal and you're not, so whatever. And you were like, what? I don't even care. Like, yeah, I'm just getting this like energy where this person maybe like asked for something or like needed something, and it was like really not appropriate, because you were like, we're not friends anymore. Okay. So you've been in a place where you're like, maybe you've had some jobs where you were like, you lost it or you quit or whatever, but I think you're at a career change in your life. Maybe you're like in between. Maybe you started a new career or something. Or maybe you're like just starting something. Like I'm just starting real estate, for example. And like, you know, you're seeing kind of that like a lot of the jobs or things that you did were like things that you just like, I refuse to do that anymore. And you're seeing through some illusions of how like maybe what society told you about like whatever success or career paths or what people can do. Maybe you're a woman and you were pushed to work with children, and then you were like, I really don't like this. That's very common. Education. I know that came out of nowhere, but I myself worked in education for years, and it was just not sustainable. Not because of the kids, it's because the administration does not see art as a real subject, so they don't give you the tools to have people succeed. And I think this person never wanted you to have tools to succeed, because they come from sort of like, maybe they were the first person to go to college in their family, or like the second person, or like, you know, maybe they were like, maybe they really come from poverty and you kind of don't, like you're like a little bit, maybe there's been some tough times in your background, but I feel like that I don't even think you would see it that way, but I think that they're like obsessed with some idea that you like had it easier. Because I think as they've aged, they've become very bitter at having to work hard. And also, so yeah, you guys are different. Like one of you, I'm seeing you're more nonconformist. You're like, I don't really care what my situation is in life right now. Like I have other goals. And I think they may have looked you up and been like, what, this person has like these degrees now? Like, I don't even understand who, like, they're not like that. Maybe you got some sort of like math degree or like something very practical, and they were like, I didn't even think they could do math. That's how they think about you. Ooh, very, very condescending. I'm getting this is a person who was always jealous of how you look, of how you act, of even if you where in times where you were not doing well, you would, I think, try to explain and give the benefit of the doubt, and they would just, they don't want to work things out. Maybe they have Mercury or Mars in Scorpio. That can be a placement where it's like, I don't want to make things better, I just want the power. Ooh. Yeah, I'm really glad that this relationship ended. I think it could have gone south. Like, they could have actually like tried to threaten your life or like your livelihood or something like that, because of their own ego being bruised by things that you said. Something that you said, Queen of Swords. You said something like, and you had to, it was like you were touching all their like hot spots, you know, their tough spots. So you had to actually temper what you said, because you were like, this is not, I'm not gonna put up with this, whatever this person's doing. You were like, no. And I'm seeing you reach out and just be like, actually the temperance can be you warning them and being like, hey, like, no, whatever this is, whatever you're doing, I'm not into it. Yeah, so I think what really happened is this person kind of like attacked you subtly, maybe from the internet, and then you noticed, is one thing that could have happened, or just like through other people, or just like, you know, maybe exclusion, or just like the silent treatment. A lot of toxic stuff. I think this person has never been to therapy, probably ever. I think they blame everything on everyone else, and they really don't feel good about themselves, but they've created this like false ego of like puffed up, like, look at me, and they're like comparing to you that they're better. It's like, you don't even think of life that way. So you're just like, okay, you win, good for you. And actually the things that they're standing on that are like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna turn my car on because I'm cold. The things they're standing on as being like their great success, I'm actually feeling this person's very lonely in their life. They may have some big career that you actually have no interest in. I'm feeling that I think you have more long-term goals. You're not like, you're like, good for them, they have their career, like, and I think they've continually tried to push in your face how great their career is and how great they're doing, and you're like, good for you, like, because they make it a thing where like, I'm winning, I win, and you're just like a loser, and you're like, I'm not a loser, like, you're like, I don't think of myself that way, but yeah, this person's like sick is like what I'm hearing. But they may have like some money and they feel super proud because, and actually I'm getting that they did this because you were ahead. You may be like in a different place now, because we got some like career change stuff, but you were like ahead of them. Maybe you were working in some field, and then we're just like, F this. And they maybe were just like a freelancer, or like they were dependent on someone, and they were like, oh, like, I have to figure my stuff out because you figured something out. So you were actually the impetus for them to actually get this job or whatever career, because you were ahead of them at some point, and they were like, they did not like that, because they are queen bee or king bee. They are the best, and how dare you? How dare you have skills and talents? How dare you be beautiful and smart, or handsome and smart? How dare you be funny? That's their thing. How dare you? Ooh, this person's very envious of you. But when I read their energy body, it's like a little old man. Like, they're not in a place in their life where they're happy. I was gonna say they may have the money, but they don't have, I'm seeing that they're single. And they don't have a family. I don't see that they're very close with their actual family. If they are, it's for show. And it's one-dimensional. And the family doesn't know that much about them, really. And they play a role. Maybe they see them for Christmas, Easter, and that's kind of it. Maybe it's, I'm getting this person actually may have some addictions here. They feel backstabbed by you, but you also feel backstabbed by them. So it's kind of like just canceled out. It's like, we both kind of just, I feel like the word hate was there at one point, but now you just really don't care. You're just like, I've seen this person for who they are, and they're disgusting to me. I don't think this person, I think you may have been raised in like a strong doctrine, like a dogma of some sort of religion, or even just like Buddhism or something, even just philosophical. Maybe you like studied philosophy and you have like morals, and this person is like kind of loosey-goosey with the morals, and you can't like abide by that. But this person, like, they don't have someone in their life. They don't, they don't feel seen by anyone. Like they're like, I'm seeing them going on dates, and their superior attitude is actually a turnoff to men or women that they're dating. Their attitude of I'm the best and I'm amazing is actually like a big turnoff, and they're coming off as snotty and egomaniac. And then I think they may have tried to make it work with someone, but then the person was like, you are very like, self-focused, and I don't want to be around that. I think they got broken up with. Yeah, because maybe this person was an only child, or like had a situation where they were treated like a princess or a king, and that's actually why you were friends, because you gave them the benefit. You saw that and you were like, you played along because you were like, oh, this person has a fragile ego. You played along because you were like, I want to make them feel good. They told you things about their life that they never told anybody. There was intimacy there. They gave as much intimacy to you as they could to anyone. And now the friends they have are like, they've really never gone very deep with them. They're just people they party with. As I said, they have addiction problems. And losing you was actually a deep, painful thing in their life because they don't feel seen. So they've turned it into this like sparring match of who's doing better, and like it's really crazy, and you're like, I don't even like think of you. I don't think you think of them. I think if you do think of them in a blue moon, you're like, wow, that person's really crazy. Like, I don't even know what happened there. Like, and I think this person feels very right. They're not in a place where they can remember the friendship. They're in a place where they're just like, I'm right, and like, I win. And you're like, okay. I think this person has a lot of childhood wounding that they may have told you some of it, but it could be some sexual abuse or some trauma that is like hidden, just never dealt with, never trusted any therapist to talk about it. Some people go to therapy and they never talk about the really tough stuff. You know, that's very common because some therapists don't elicit. We don't feel safe like telling them maybe some deeper reasons for our behavior, because we'll feel judged. Personally, I hate the ACEs score because it's like, I don't want to tell you all my trauma right up front. Like, that's earned. A lot of therapists give that right away. Anyway, I keep mentioning therapy because I think you gave therapeutic energy to this person at some point, but like they're so far gone in their like addiction and their like weird I'm better than you stuff that like, and the whatever threatening situation they came against you, and you were just like so put off. You were like, I can't even believe this is the same person. Yeah, you're like in a place in your life where you're really moving away from energetically from any like toxic energy like this. Like any people who treat you this way, who see you as lesser than, that's their stuff. You know, that's their projection. Whatever the situation is, they may see you as not smart, or maybe you had depression and they're like, oh, that means they're like dumb, and you're like, no. Or maybe, you know, maybe you have a health issue and this person always was like, I'm better because I don't, which is really petty and sick. But you're like moving away specifically energetically from anyone who like treats you that way. I'm getting maybe your family was like this to you, maybe boyfriends. You're just kind of like in your power. And so maybe that's why this reading's coming up for you, that like anyone who's like nasty or rude, I'm even seeing you going into like businesses and just being like, no, like this isn't good enough for me. Whereas in the past you may have put up with like really negative behavior and just been like, okay, just like scream at me or like walk all over me. And you're like, now you're like, excuse me. And I think that the old self that let people behave that way was for survival. And now your new self is like repelling a lot of people and a lot of situations where you're just like, I like won't be talked to that way. No. In their heart of hearts, I think this person feels actually like an idiot because as time has passed, I don't see that you're seeing, you know, your friends. As time has passed, they've seen like how amazing you are and strong they are, and how like idiotic their behavior is, and like how childish actually their behavior. They see, but there's no way they would reach out now. There's nothing left to say. But they also feel embarrassed by like whatever involvement. Maybe others were involved. Maybe others spoke for them and they feel like that was really stupid. And they see that like how they treated you was just like ridiculous. It was like, whatever the situation was, like they were like, give me this, and you were like, well, if you're gonna want that, then we're gonna need to talk about it. And they were like, no, give me this or else. That's, yeah, I'm seeing them like demanding something from you, some resource, and then also harassing you. And I think you gave them what they wanted, then you were like, now get away from me and don't ever talk to me again. Ooh, yeah, really toxic energy, this person. And you know what? Their life isn't going to get better. They're going to be in a state of suspension because of their behavior, because it's not just you. I've said it in other readings. Statistically, it's unlikely that their behavior is not being portrayed like this with other people. That's unlikely. Just, they're acting this way with other people, and their snotty behavior and their whatever, it's going to come around. It's going to, people are going to come against them. There's going to be some karma here. You can't just like do whatever you want. You can't just treat people however you want. And they're gonna learn. There's gonna be someone above them, maybe at their job, or maybe even just like on the subway, or like in the world, that they like act that way with. And then the person's like, no, we're not doing this. And I'm guessing, as I said before, that they've had that happen with significant others. And really, the message for you is to just like detach and know that this person is like a sick individual, and like, really, whatever ideas they have about you, you don't need to like even go there. Don't think about it. I'm sensing them saying some very rude, condescending things to you, some very insensitive, nasty things, and it's like, don't even like consider these words, you know? And there's going to be another reading coming up from their perspective. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great day.